So this is recording 693. Okay, so this is going to be a continuation of the last recording, just a few more connections. And then I'm going to report terrorism that Jean committed. Yesterday, I checked the news to see if there were more crimes that Jean committed with her Charles Manson occult. And so there are several of those crimes. And so I'm going to decode those. And those again are on all the crimes that she commits. Okay. You guys all know everything is connected. It all rolls right back to Jean Roberts and her Alice in Wonderland World Dominion plot. Okay. So it goes, the Silent War goes all the way back to the beginning of time. So remember in my earlier recordings, which you have on my podcast, which I was explaining jihad. Okay, so once again, I just want to, this is how I personally feel. And I shouldn't even have to say this is how I personally feel. I should just be able to tell you how I feel. But this is the level of lunacy and the level of hate speech that goes on in the United States of America that I have to preface everything like that so I don't piss off any angry white people who have, quote, friends that aren't white and run to work them over real quick, telling lies about me. They think that telling lies about me makes people who aren't white love them more, which is ridiculous, but you got to love white people for that. Not all white people, but some white people are like that. Arrogant and stupid. They assume people are stupid. So anyway, okay, so, all right, so jihad, what I was going to say about that, jihad means holy war, okay? So it's talking about that in the previous recording. So just because you guys see crimes, I'm decoding crimes that Jean Roberts and her Manson occult are committing, okay? Who gets arrested downstream at the point of the arrest, okay? Who they are or where they come from or how it occurred, where it happened through their hands, whether it was them themselves or whether they were ordered to do it or whether they just chose to do it. Okay, all of that is that's why I decode the crimes, because that way world intelligence agencies around the world can go find exactly what's your avenue here, okay? Where do you come from and where is this linking to? And it links back, the crimes that I can figure out are the ones that link back to Jean Roberts, leader of Charles Manson. So how it reaches it down the end stream at the end point, I'm not concerned about, because this is why I'm making reports against Jean Roberts, the leader of it all, for committing the crimes. Okay? So Jean Roberts is obviously trying to stop me from making reports against her. Why? Because she wants to continue to commit crime. She wants to run her trafficking ring and she wants to commit crime and she wants to blame it on everybody else. No. You're committing these crimes, you write the demonic ciphers that go with them, and then you choose whatever route you choose. And then the crime occurs. Okay? So that's at the end point. That's not even my concern. I'm trying to point out where Jean Roberts and her Manson occult supercells are. And you know the supercell hub is where? Right here in Tulsa. You've got the supercell hub, and then you've got me, Christina Stacia, the informant. So what do you think's happening to me on a day in, day out basis? I'm shrapnel. I get constantly attacked by Jean Roberts locally, and then trying to expand it out, running her con, which is the cover-up, keeping people distracted, as I explained before, with lies and making money off those lies that fund the terrorism that she is also committing, which she is also racketing. Okay, so it's like local people like don't realize that they're being sucked into that crap and she's conning them, or local people do realize and are a part of helping her have people gang stalk me. Okay, so my family's being stalked. I'm being stalked. No matter where I work, no matter where I live, no matter who I know, everyone around me is stalked. And they're stalked by Gene Jernigan Roberts. Okay, so that's problem number one. Problem number two is she's committing terrorism. And I can't even watch TV because, like, I rarely watch TV now because if there's anything on, my brain, I'm so adept at decoding her crimes. It's like, imagine just looking at a map or the clock or watching the news or seeing a painting or looking at a street map or looking at a set of code, looking at anything in my life anywhere. Going to Walmart and buying makeup and looking at the makeup rack. Going to the grocery store and going grocery shopping. Anything I do, anywhere I go at all, my brain instantly, it's instant. My brain instantly knows and sees connections. And my brain instantly, it's like reading, like when you learn to read, it's like you're sounding out the letters and you're sounding out the syllables, and then you're able to form sentences, and then you can go faster and faster and faster. And then now your level of reading is so expertise, you can see a whole page and read the whole page almost all at one time, at the same time, because your reading is that advanced. Okay, that's how it is with me with decoding ciphers. Okay, I see everything like all at once. Now, what she does is when I'm seeing stuff, then her people go on that try to steal from me and try to racket the ones that commit the crimes, and they block my brain. They stab my short-term memory and they make it go blank, and they shuffle or move stuff around. And so it doesn't, so how my brain reacts, how does your brain react if it's stabbed? Okay, if your brain sees, you're absorbing, my eyes are burning. If your brain is seeing something and it's receiving information and your brain is processing the information, and then your neurons are intercepted and like messed with, your brain goes into like a miniature like confusion or like miniature teeny tiny like convulsion, not like painful convulsion, but just she does stab my brain where I get really bad headaches. She gets pissed at me and she electrocutes me and she stabs my brain. So like it confuses, my brain gets confused, and then my brain gets mad because now all of a sudden it doesn't see. It's like something's out of focus. And you're trying to, and your brain automatically tries to focus. Okay, so that's what she does to me. So it attacks my brain even more. And she's doing that using artificial intelligence and MK Ultra. It isn't going to stop me from not decoding ciphers. In fact, it aggravates me more. I'm going to continue making reports and turning her in. I mean, she's not going to be successful in anything she does, which means she doesn't care that you're decoding the ciphers, because she's just going to try to steal your identity and try to get away with running rackets as long and as hard as she possibly can. And you're not going to stop telling on her because this is affecting your physical nature. That's people talking to me. So, like, So it's bothering me. She's attacking my entire body, head to toe, every second of the day, hardcore, for the past 9 years, on top of her stalking me and my family all of my life. Since before 1971. Stalking my parents, stalking my grandparents, stalking everyone. And then stalking all my friends growing up, all my family, everyone. And then knowing that she committed these terror attacks, and she's committing terror attacks daily, and no one's arresting her, and it's looking like she just gets to run wild with her Manson occult and do what she wants, even like hiding in churches. She's this week, she's pretending to be, she keeps putting on Minister Louis Farrakhan's hat that he wears. And I don't know the appropriate name. I don't know the proper name of his hat. But she keeps wearing his hat. And she keeps claiming that she's Minister Louis Farrakhan. And she keeps claiming that she's on the Nation of Islam team. Jean Jernigan Roberts. And she's doing that to trick people in Tulsa. And she's doing it to annoy me. And when she does visual overlays like that, when people talk to me in my brain, okay, she overlays images of herself, and she's dressed in all kinds of different everything, okay? And so they can't see that when they're talking to me in my brain. Some people can see in my brain and some people can't. That's a switch that easily can be turned on and off, and Jean is master controlling it. So no one can see what Jean is doing unless she decides to do a release of a little clip and stitch, and then she's got a bucket of lies to go with it. She censors everything so no one can hear anything. So it's really bad. It's like it messes with my, like, I'm not going to stop making reports against her. I'm not living the rest of my life. I've already lost, me and my boys have already lost, and have already lost our lives being stalked by her. We deserve a witness protection program. We deserve new lives. And she should not be getting rich off of stalking us. And she certainly should not be allowed to commit terrorism. And she certainly should not be allowed to commit terrorism and use me or my family as a theme. And she certainly should not be able to claim that she's above the law. I bet as soon as the recording goes up, people are going to freak out when they find out that the leader of the Ku Klux Klan, who killed Malcolm X, who killed Martin Luther King Jr., is running around wearing Minister Louis Farrakhan's hat and claiming she's on the Nation of Islam team. And this team thing needs to stop too. She always uses the word team. It's because she's playing her Game of Thrones trafficking, baseball trafficking Ponzi, and she doesn't want to tell people what it really is when everybody knows what it really is. And she forces people into teams and they're captains and and it's not cute and it's not funny. And I told you in previous recordings all the attempts that people made in trying to stop this, and she wanted to keep up her trafficking. So I don't want to hear anything team. To me, there's no such thing as Nation of Islam team. There's no team at all. Not in regards to what Jean is doing. She needs to be arrested. So, anyway, okay, so jihad, what I was saying with jihad is, so jihad, America is, you know, I told you before, America is afraid of the word jihad. And it's because of everything in the past, crimes that Jean Roberts and her Manson occult committed, and laid the blame at Al-Qaeda and Taliban and ISIS and everything else. Okay, but nobody knew what nobody didn't know. Nobody knew. They didn't even know. Nobody knew what was going on until 9 years ago when I started decoding. And the more I decoded, the more people were freaking out. And then she was staying ahead of me by stealing from me. But then I started hardcore turning her in like 3 or 4 years ago. And since the podcast, now people really know what's going on, because this is the only way to get out what's going on, where everybody hears the same thing. And then world leaders make their decisions. Like I am, everything is revolved around my life. I am a Scorpio child. So I know all these crimes are committed around my life. Okay. So I am like a huge informant, but I'm one piece of all the intelligence gathering that they do. But I'm always like right there. Like I'm always like, I know they're checking, because that's my whole goal, is to get them knowing everything and how to figure out all this. So, because I know this and I know this and I know that, but then I deliver that, and the Secret Service and all the experts in the world out there are like, tons and tons, I know tons and tons and tons of more evidence come right out of that they know that I don't know. So it's all about intelligence gathering, and it's about not letting Jean sneakily try to take control of the world, which is what her plot is, and it is to put how the world is, the worldscape of the world, in world leaders' hands fully, without being absconded with secretly by Jean Roberts and her Manson occult. So her trying to stop me is insane. I'm not going to stop turning her in until she's arrested. So anyway, with jihad, it's not a word that people should be afraid of. You should say it and study it, because it's just another way of saying revelations. It's revelations. That's what we're in. It is not at the cause of the Middle East. It is at the cause of Jean Roberts and her Manson occult over time. But what do you think is going to happen? What she expects to happen? Chain reaction. What's going to happen? People are going to respond. This allows people to re-strategize. Jean Roberts is not going to be sitting at the end at any table. I always joke around. I don't know if you guys have heard that on my recordings. I always joke around. I'm like, Trump has got to be like preparing for his spaghetti dinner. And I like envision like all the world leaders, all the gang leaders around the world, all the world leaders, all the religious leaders at the biggest spaghetti dinner in the entire planet once Jean is arrested. Because this is just a big gigantic thing of Roundup. She's running around like she's the Pied Piper, like she's getting away with this and she's above the law. And it is drawing in all the people that are guilty, because the more she goes without resources, the more desperately she reaches out, and the more comes out of the woodwork. I mean, this is about stopping the world's biggest terror occult, and that would be Jean Roberts and her Manson occult, her terror occult. A United States American domestic terrorist occult, a white supremacist Satanist terrorist occult. That is who it is. So I that's what I envision, and I know this is going to carry on, but that's like what I see, like, and I like think of myself as off somewhere with my boys finally, and my grandchildren finally, living my happy go lucky life with my family in a new life, and the world is safer. while they're up there having their spaghetti dinner and doing what world leaders do. Like, I just can't wait for that day. And I always tell Gene Roberts, you know, you're the spaghetti. People kept asking me in my brain, they kept talking back and forth. They're like, who's the spaghetti? Who's the spaghetti? And then people were like, if you got to ask if you're the spaghetti or not, you're probably the spaghetti. So anyway, okay, so back to this. Okay, so all right, so know also the word Stephen, the name Stephen. Okay, so see all code on Stephen, okay, and see all code on the book of Paul, okay. So you already know this all goes back to the Holy Bible, okay. So see all code there. So this is more added to that. So I'm sorry, she's controlling my body right now. She's trying to make me burp. She thinks it's funny. Completely just controlling my brain and body, like she's getting away with any crime or any lie or any hiding of any crime, which is all that Gene's been doing. So I'm done tired, Gene. I'm making reports against you. Please stop seeking attention. Okay, so Phoenix is also in Stephen. And you guys already know Eve is in Stephen. She thought that would be funny, Eve and Steve. So Phoenix is in it. So another thing is in Stephen, Phoenix is in it, and then also in Stephen with the V, see all code on Stephen with the V. Okay, and people, okay, sorry, my speech is being, I'm trying to talk. Let me make reports. Please stop talking through me. So the EST like established, that's in Stephen also. So again, that's going back to, okay, you got her using punk, okay, which is one of her big themes. CLD code on that for in the past 60 years, but it goes back even further. But the focus on the AE, you know, that stands for anti-establishment and anarchy and all that. Okay, so how she used punk bands and so anyway, she like wrote all these ciphers out, and then she said about conning people to do this and do that and do this and do that. And I can't even say she conned them. They probably were like, they probably knew what she was doing. Stop talking through me. So anyway, she wrote the ciphers. She committed the crimes. As I said at the beginning of the recording, okay, I don't care. That's not my concern. I'm going after Gene Roberts, the lead perp. Okay, so established that would go to the beginning of America, okay, which, as I told you before, from all the decode that I've done over the past 9 years, that's the latest, most recent phase of Revelations. Like, I think that's when the downward spiral started happening. Like, our descent through Revelations. Like, we've been on a descent since this nation started. And it's like a snowball effect. So that's going back to that point. And then also ETALs. Okay, so ETAL, when you use that, that means and others, or it means and all, or example. Okay, look at the rearrangement of the letters, and you have late, so Alice in Wonderland. And then also her use of the word Teal, and then you also have Alex. Okay, so there's a lot going on there. So, anyway, so moving forward, okay, also Jean Roberts and her Manson occult predecessors started the Chicago Fire of 1871, okay? Seal Code, decoded ciphers in the Chicago Fire, 1871, okay? So this links to, obviously you can see my year of birth there, but that's not even what I'm pointing out right now. That's obvious, everybody can see it. Okay, obvious, well, they're also pointing, please stop trying to control my speech. Work your way backwards with the Chicago Fire, and you can link back to crimes older than that, and it links to crimes that I just decoded that Jean committed, okay? Then also in Stacia, in my name Stacia, and that's my genuine name, Christina Marie Stacia. Okay, so she used the C. I decoded the heck out of my name. She combined my name with Charles Manson. If you take Charles Manson and you take my name, Christina Stacia, and you do the cross reduce, I decoded a whole bunch out of it. So anyway, she took, so this is more continuation. So she took the C and, well, look, CH and ST, chest. So like the treasury, and then she's using invest from Eve and Stephen. So she's using CST as in cursed. Okay, so because I'm supposed to be the sacrifice. She wanted to sacrifice me before I was born. You're going to have to see all recordings. I'm not going into all the grand details. It's all there. Okay, it's online. Christina Stacia 918. Okay, so she planned to sacrifice me before I was born. And when people started figuring out what Jean was up to and who she really is in the past 9 years, Masons said, along with a lot of other people said, no, Jean, you cannot sacrifice Christina. And she's also trying to do the little SS identity switch. See all code on SS, all the zodiac ciphers that I decoded. All of that's on my podcast on Christina Stacia 918. So she wants to steal my identity. She wants to have her cake and eat it too. She wants to commit the crime. She wants to kill me, steal my identity, and then she wants to spend her last days acting in the role of her adult fetish lies of me, which is her fetish of herself, and do her role play and run around taunting and scaring and tormenting and assaulting people and running her madam ring, which involves babies, children, and adults. And she just wants to get away with it all, is what she wants to do. She's not stealing my identity. She's not stealing my life. She literally takes my life, all of it, and she cuts it all into pieces. And she lies and assigns parts of my life to people who have also stolen my identity. And they're claiming my life is their life. And she sells me like in Hollywood. She's been doing that like all of my life, but I mean like really bad in the past 9 years. Like even these podcasts, she cuts and splices. She pretends to be me in parts of it. Then she pretends it's somebody else. Then she says this person said this, and then she's got a whole Grimm's fairy tale swath of lies. Okay, it's insane. And then she goes, spreads the lies everywhere. So nobody knows who's who. They don't know who I am, Christina Marie Stacia, but yet they do. They know what Jean's up to. But Jean thinks everybody's going along with her lies and her assaults and her switcheroo and all that. So anyway, I'm just going to keep making reports against Jean until she's arrested. Also CST. So she pre-planned for me. She pre-planned. They're like, people are looking at my name and going, this, that. So she pre-planned for me to move Central Standard Time is CST. She pre-planned for me to make everywhere I moved. She stalked me my whole life. She controlled all of my addresses. She controlled you can take all the states I've ever lived in, take the initials, and you can decode out ciphers. It says all kinds of crazy stuff like alien and everything else in it. She's calling me an alien, and it's psycho. So anyway, so that goes to, then I was born in Chandler. Okay. So basically I became alive in Chandler. Not like I became alive. My mom, Clayanne, gave birth to me in Chandler, Arizona at Chandler Community Hospital, November 13th, 1971. Stop acting like I'm a company or a venue, Jean Roberts. You're not stealing my identity. So anyway, but then moving to Globe, okay, we moved to Globe, okay, and Mrs. Keegan, who's in the trail in the last recording I did, Mrs. Keegan was supposed to go before the word Waukegan. Mrs. Keegan lived next door to me on East and Cottonwood in Globe, okay? See all code Mrs. Keegan. Okay, so Mrs. Keegan goes to Waukegan. So Mrs. Keegan is the one that gave me custard, okay? And I was like sitting at the little Formica table and trying to eat the custard, and I couldn't stomach it. It's funny looking back. I was trying to be so polite. I was really, really little. All I wanted to do was spend time with Mrs. Keegan because she crocheted clowns. I learned how to crochet because of her and my mom. She crocheted clowns. She had clown stuff everywhere, which is where Stephen King's It comes from. See all code. But I keep my memories precious, and then I decode what she did, icing Stephen King and invading his work, trying to give him inspiration. It's still his art. It's still his creation, but it's wrapped and twined with my childhood. So anyway, she had these clowns everywhere, and her teeth clicked together, and like she would give me tea, and the tea would clank on the saucer. And I was real little, and I was grade school, and she'd just sit and visit with me. And I just wanted to spend time with Mrs. Keegan, so sometimes I'd go over there, and Mrs. Keegan would give me custard, which is flan, like the caramel. And anyway, I hated it, but I was like trying to be polite and eat it because I didn't want to hurt Miss Keegan's feelings. But anyway, so anyway, so the custard is in CST. So that goes to Custard's Last Stand. Okay. So again, Jean is wrapping in and involving in the American Indian movement. So when I get to Slidell and I'm decoding all these ciphers, I'm realizing the American Indian movement is intertwined in this. But the American Indian movement did not write these ciphers. It's Jean Roberts and her Manson occult, and then she's out working over different groups of people, doing however she did to try to get people to go along with her. And I don't know if she did that to people way back then in the 60s, but then some people she held on to it like it was a just big gigantic surprise to like present day. And because she had committed all these crimes, so if she spins the table and she approaches people, no. Christina's saying this, no, look at all this I did for you. And when that doesn't work, she goes, no, you guys did that for each other. You guys were attacking me. She plays the victim role. She's real into the S&M, like She plays the masochist and she plays the sadist. She's into master and servant. Okay. She's either the victim or she's the dominatrix. And she literally, really, truly is a dominatrix. But you already know that about her. Okay. So anyway, she's in my brain right now going, this is broadcast publicly. My podcast has been broadcast publicly for over a year now. I have been communicating with Planet Earth, the world leaders of Planet Earth, and everybody that knows what's going on for over a year now. They have walked through every step of decode of these ciphers with me. They want to know every little detail about you because you are a criminal, Gene. So anyway, okay, so she wants people to talk about how arrogant she is. Okay, I'm continuing on. We all know how arrogant Jean is. Okay, so anyway, so Custard's Last Stand. Okay, so that's also pre-planned of me moving to Oklahoma. Now, remember when I told you that she stole artificial intelligence in the 60s? And I told you she's got a big, stolen AI center in southern Oklahoma, and she's in a Civil War bunker. Part of her main hideout is in Weatherford, Oklahoma, underneath Weatherford, Oklahoma. Okay, see all code there. See all code. Okay, so she has, how she got that there, like I told you, I don't know how she got that there, but she did that a long time ago in the 60s or 70s. I think she had it there in the 60s or I'm sorry, she's controlling my speech, in the 60s, and then she moved people there. She moved people to Oklahoma in the 70s. Okay. I followed Charles Manson's trail. Like, I followed him like a hawk. I've decoded so much of Charles Manson. It's insane. So he passes right through here. In fact, which you guys already know, because I'm like decoding all his ciphers. I'm like, what are your ties in Oklahoma? He bought the ranch in California from an Oklahoma family. And I can't remember what their names are right now, but you'll have to go through all my ciphers. But you already know if you do the research. Remember, their names were Arlene Brown is what the family's name is. So anyway, so I trailed, like, figuring out what his lifetime of footsteps were. Okay, so because she sought him out and merged with him, okay, just like she did with Koresh. Her and two of her Manson women and David Koresh started the Waco occult. Okay, so anyway, and I always tell Jean, you're not walking out of Waco on this one. She's smooth, got the heck away with all of that. So anyway, she's gotten away with everything. So anyway, so in Weatherford, they said, there's got to be correlate. It is not Jean. There's got to be correlation of Waukegan to Weatherford. They want to point that out because of similarities in the letters, which would probably go again to that painting. Okay, so if you're looking at it through my eyes, Christina, as a child, looking at the painting and seeing my childhood and seeing what objects look like to me as a child, is very easy to see that there's connections there. So, okay, so in Weatherford, Oklahoma, there is a place called Dead Woman's Crossing, and it is also, the name of the county is Custer County. And then also somebody pointed this out. Custer, cussed her out. and cursed. And I haven't researched what Dead Woman's Crossing is. I would love to know the actual history of Dead Woman's Crossing. And then I would like to know how Jean used it with her Manson occult to find out. And it's probably her. She's probably using it for identity theft, or I don't know what she's doing with it. You know, she's doing something with it. But the actual history of Dead Woman's Crossing and Weatherford would be fascinating, and then to also learn what's behind that, what she did criminally using that. So anyway, that is the end for this recording. I'm going to start another recording, and I'm going to go over crimes that she committed present day and turn her in for those crimes also.